Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, can I get an amen? We've all been in a season where life felt bland, dry, flavorless, like something was missing. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. You wake up, go to work, come home, go to bed over and over again, like you're stuck on repeat. No excitement, no joy, no fire. But let me tell you something today. God never intended for you to live a life without flavor. He didn't design you to be stuck in the bland. No, no, no. He called you to be the bread, nutritious, fulfilling, and essential. Now, let's break this down. What is bread? Bread is something that sustains. Bread is something that feeds. Bread is something that multiplies. We've all had those moments in life where everything seems to be going in circles. You wake up, go through the motions, and repeat the same tasks day after day. Life feels bland, like something is missing. Like there's a certain spice or zest that hasn't yet shown up. You don't feel alive, but rather you feel like you're existing. Some days you may even question if things will ever change. It's as if you're caught in a cycle that doesn't seem to have an end in sight. You may be asking yourself, when will things finally get better? When will I feel fulfilled? It's easy to get trapped in that mindset, believing that this blandness, this sense of being unfulfilled is all there is to life. But let me tell you, there's more to your story than just these dull moments. The season of blandness is not meant to last forever. And more importantly, it is not the defining chapter of your life. God has not designed you to live an ordinary existence devoid of purpose, joy, or fulfillment. He has called you to something greater. You were never meant to be stuck in the blandness. Even in the quiet and uneventful moments, God is working behind the scenes, shaping and preparing you for a breakthrough. It might seem hard to see in the moment, but your experience of blandness is simply a precursor to something far more powerful. We can think of it this way: life without purpose, without the flavor that excites us, is like an ingredient that hasn't yet been mixed or activated. It's dry, unyielding, and lacks potential. But just as ingredients like flour and yeast on their own seem dry and unremarkable, once mixed together, once activated by the right elements, they have the potential to rise and become something more. And that's how it is in life. Even when things seem bland, when you feel stuck, God is preparing something bigger than you can imagine. This season might feel dull, but it is not wasted. You are in a preparation stage. It's a time when things are being stirred up, rearranged, and worked through to bring about your rise. In these moments, it's important to hold on to the belief that something is happening, even if you can't see it yet. God is working in your life, and while it may feel like a waiting game, the process of becoming the person you're meant to be is unfolding. You may feel dry right now, but you're not being left in a bland state. You're being prepped to rise. And when that moment comes, when your season shifts, you won't just be a different person. You'll be a person who has learned to thrive in the heat, a person who can sustain others and offer nourishment. So hold fast. This season will pass, and your flavor, your purpose will emerge stronger than before. Life's transformation from bland to flavorful doesn't happen by accident. It's a process. When you look at dough before it's baked, it's nothing special. It's just a mixture of flour, water, and yeast sitting there, unremarkable and ordinary. But when the right ingredients come together, and when that dough is placed in the heat, everything changes. The dough doesn't stay flat and lifeless, it rises. The heat of the oven brings out its potential, turning it from bland to something that can nourish and sustain. And the same is true for us. Life may feel like a series of bland moments where we are simply existing, but we are being prepared for something far more significant. The heat we experience in our lives, the pressure, the difficulties, the trials, are not meant to break us. These moments are part of the shaping process. Just as the dough needs heat to rise and achieve its true form, we too need challenges to grow, evolve, and reach our full potential. The Bible reminds us that our faith is tested by fire. The refining process often feels uncomfortable, even painful, but it is necessary for growth. When we are pressed, stretched, and put through the heat, it forces us to expand, to transform into something stronger, more resilient, and more capable of handling life's challenges. You see, the heat doesn't destroy you, it develops you. It pushes you beyond your limits and teaches you resilience. Without the pressure, without the moments of discomfort, there would be no rise. You'd remain stuck in your blandness, unable to achieve the fullness of who you were made to be. God doesn't waste the pain or the pressure. Everything you're going through now, the stress, the struggles, the moments where it feels like everything is falling apart, are building you up. They are part of your divine preparation. In this stage of growth, you might feel like you're not making progress. You might even wonder if you're stuck in the same spot you've always been. But when you trust the process, when you surrender to the heat, you will eventually see the rise. And that rise doesn't just mean that you will be better off than before. It means that you'll be ready to sustain others. Just as bread nourishes those who eat it, your journey, your growth, your rise will become a source of nourishment for those around you. You won't just be surviving, you will be thriving. You will become a source of strength, encouragement, and inspiration for others who are also in the process of transformation. So while you're going through the heat, remember this: it's not the end, it's just the beginning of your rise. God is using this time to shape you into something that will not only bless you, but will bless others. Just like the bread that rises from the oven to feed those in need, the pressure is not your enemy, it is your preparation. Keep going, because your rise is coming. In the process of moving from bland to bread, there's something crucial we must recognize. We are not alone in this journey. Sometimes, when we're in the midst of life's challenges, it can feel isolating. We may feel as though no one understands the pressures we're facing or the weight of our burdens. But let me tell you this: God is with you every step of the way. Just as the yeast in bread interacts with the dough, causing it to rise, God is interacting with your life, causing you to rise in ways you might not even see right now. When you're going through the crushing, the kneading, and the pressure, remember that God is working behind the scenes. There are moments in life when we want to give up, when we feel like we can't take another step. But in those moments, God's hand is at work, ensuring that we are being shaped and refined. He doesn't let us go through the fire without a purpose. The yeast in the dough doesn't work alone. It's part of the recipe, part of the bigger picture. Similarly, God is working in partnership with your life, bringing together the right elements to help you rise. And there's something else to remember: the heat isn't forever. Just as bread doesn't stay in the oven indefinitely, neither will your time of testing. It's easy to become consumed by the heat and feel like it's never going to end, but every trial, every difficulty has a time limit. It has a season. And when that season passes, you'll come out stronger, more whole, and more prepared for what lies ahead. Your rise is coming, and with it, the purpose that God has for you will be revealed. Moreover, as the bread rises, it doesn't just expand, it becomes something that can be shared. The blessing that God is pouring into you in this season isn't just for your benefit. You are being shaped and prepared to share your blessings, to offer your strength, your wisdom, and your experience to others. As you rise, you will have the opportunity to bless others who are going through similar struggles, who are feeling like life is bland and they're stuck in their own process. You will become a living testimony of what God can do when He works in the midst of pressure. The more we understand this process, the more we can appreciate the journey. While the heat might feel unbearable in the moment, it's shaping you into something powerful. And when you come out on the other side, you won't just have survived, you'll be able to nourish others. The bread that you become will not only satisfy your hunger, but will be a sustenance to those around you, lifting them up as they see the strength you've gained. So trust the process, embrace the heat, and know that God is turning your bland moments into something extraordinary. You're becoming bread for the world, a source of strength, provision, and love. The transformation from bland to bread requires patience and faith. It's easy to feel as though the process of becoming something more is moving too slowly. You may be questioning why things aren't happening as quickly as you thought they would, or why life feels so difficult at times. But let me encourage you today. Just as dough cannot rise without the necessary time and right conditions, neither can you. You are in a season of growth. And though it may seem like you're not progressing, every moment is essential to your development. Time is a key factor in the process. Think about the process of bread making. The dough doesn't just rise because it's thrown in an oven. It rises because it's allowed to rest, to sit in the warmth, and rise gradually. It needs that time. And just like the dough, you need the time to mature, to learn, and to experience life in its fullness. You might be wondering why things aren't moving faster, but in God's timing, everything will unfold exactly as it's supposed to. There's no rushing the process of transformation. It is in this time of waiting, when you feel like you're just sitting there with no progress, that God is preparing you for your breakthrough. The process is not just about sitting still, though. It's about learning how to respond to the heat and pressure. When dough is placed in the oven, it doesn't resist the heat. Instead, it rises, trusting the heat is part of its purpose. The heat doesn't defeat it, it empowers it. And in our lives, the heat can be seen in many forms: stress, challenges, failures, or even moments of doubt. But rather than fighting against these pressures, we are called to embrace them. The trials we face build character, increase our resilience, and prepare us for the blessings ahead. When we're placed in those heated situations, we have to trust that we are being shaped into something better. The heat, though uncomfortable, doesn't destroy what's inside. It forces us to expand and stretch beyond what we thought we were capable of. In fact, the stretching is what allows us to hold more, to hold greater things. You can't carry the weight of responsibility, the blessings that are meant for you, without the strength that only comes through trials. Just like the dough, when you come out of this season of pressure, you'll be able to carry and nourish others in ways you never could have before. You'll be equipped to handle challenges with a new strength and perspective that only comes through perseverance. So, as you go through this process, remember that God is not wasting a single moment. Every ounce of pressure, every ounce of discomfort is part of your rise. The strength you gain in this process will not only transform you, it will equip you to serve others. Just like bread that rises, you will be able to provide sustenance to those around you, offering nourishment, encouragement, and support as you share your journey and lessons learned. The heat you are experiencing today is preparing you to be the bread that others need tomorrow. As you move through life's process from bland to bread, it's essential to understand that the ingredients of your life are being carefully combined and seasoned in ways you may not fully comprehend. Every experience, every struggle, every victory, and every moment of growth plays a part in shaping you into something extraordinary. You may feel as though you are just a mix of raw ingredients right now, unformed and incomplete. But in God's hands, you are being molded into something greater. The transformation that is happening within you is not random, nor is it accidental. Just like the ingredients of bread come together with purpose to create a whole, nourishing product, your life's trials and triumphs are coming together for a greater purpose. Consider the moment when the dough is kneaded. It is in this stage that the dough begins to take form. There is a stretching, a pulling, and a working through every part of it. This stage might feel uncomfortable, even painful, but it's necessary. Without the kneading, the dough would not become what it was meant to be. And for you, this is where your character is built. Every time you feel stretched beyond your limits, every time you are pushed to your breaking point, you are being shaped and refined. Each moment of pressure is part of your divine preparation. The kneading of your life is developing your strength, your faith, and your capacity to carry what is coming next. As the dough continues to rise in the warmth of the oven, it doesn't do so in an instant. It takes time. But in that time, something remarkable happens. The dough expands, filling every corner of the pan, becoming more than what it started as. This is the part of the process that mirrors your growth. The expansion represents the way your life, your purpose, your reach, and your influence will grow. At times, it may seem like you're stuck in a state of waiting, but behind the scenes, God is working. His timing is perfect, and He is allowing you to rise at the perfect pace according to His plan. You may not see it, but the heat is causing you to expand, to stretch, and to rise into something that can sustain and nourish others. In your moments of blandness, when life feels empty or unremarkable, remember that these are the moments of preparation. They are not the end, but the beginning of your rise. The pressure, the stretching, the kneading, and the time it takes for the dough to rise are all necessary. Without them, you would not become the bread that God is shaping you into, a bread that is not just for you, but for others. When you come out of this process, you will be strong, capable, and ready to feed others who are still in the bland stages of their own journeys. So trust the process. Know that in every stage you are being shaped, molded, and prepared for something bigger than you can see right now. And when you rise, you will rise with a purpose to nourish, to support, and to become all that God has called you to be. When you go through the process of transformation from bland to bread, it's crucial to remember that every moment of difficulty and pressure is an opportunity to be refined. Often, when life feels mundane or unremarkable, we find ourselves questioning the value of the experiences we're enduring. But there's something profound about these moments of blandness. They are not meaningless. They are the very moments where God is preparing you for what lies ahead. The process is not only necessary, but it is also purposeful. Just as raw dough has no flavor or structure without the right ingredients and careful preparation, you too must go through a process to become everything you were meant to be. The process of kneading dough is essential in developing its structure. It is not a gentle process. The dough is worked and stretched, pushed and pulled until it begins to take on shape. In your life, the kneading process represents the challenges, the struggles, and the stretching that God allows you to experience. It's in these moments that you may feel as though you are being pulled in every direction, torn between what you want and what you need. But this is part of your development. It's during these seasons of tension and pressure that your faith, your character, and your resolve are being strengthened. Without the kneading, the dough would remain lifeless, just as you would remain stagnant without the challenges that push you to grow. After the kneading comes the rising. This part of the process is just as important as the kneading. The dough, once shaped, is left to rest and rise. This time may feel frustrating because we live in a world that values speed and instant results, but it's in this waiting period that transformation happens. The dough doesn't rise overnight. It takes time for the yeast to activate, for the warmth of the oven to provide the right environment for growth. Similarly, your growth and transformation take time. You may feel as though you're stuck, but every day you are being shaped, expanded, and refined. It is in this period of rest and waiting that you are being prepared for what's next. You might not see it, but every moment is part of a greater plan, one that will unfold in God's perfect timing. And then there is the heat of the oven, the part of the process that can feel the most intense. The oven represents the challenges in life that test us, that push us to our limits. It is in this heat that we are refined and transformed into something more than we were before. Just as bread cannot be made without heat, we cannot become the people God has called us to be without facing trials. It is in the furnace of life that we are shaped into something capable of sustaining others. Without this process, we would remain bland, unflavored, and unfulfilled. But when the heat works its purpose, we are expanded and ready to rise, to offer something more to the world. As you go through life's trials, don't fight the heat, don't run from the pressure. It is in these very moments that God is preparing you for greatness. Your rise, your transformation is part of something bigger than you can see right now. And when you come out of this process, you won't be bland anymore. You'll be bread, nourishing, sustaining, and ready to provide for others. You are being prepared step by step to become the very thing that the world needs, a source of nourishment, strength, and encouragement for those around you. So trust the process, embrace the heat, and know that your rise is just around the corner.